Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome to another exciting bonus gameplay video. I'm happy to bring this video to you with the help of my sponsor for today, Into the AM. Do you know what's even more exciting than an extra gameplay video? Extra savings, because right now Into the AM has extended their Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale up to December 5th. That's right, these super comfortable and amazing t-shirts, not to mention long sleeves, hoodies, and all other kinds of apparel, are between 30 and 80% off right now. They're super comfortable, they wash well, they look good, and they're durable. And I'm really thrilled with having them as one of my sponsors. They make the perfect gift for this upcoming holiday season, or even if it's just something for yourself. And do you know what's even better than an extra gameplay video and Black Friday and Cyber Monday savings? An additional 10% off. That's right, if you use my promo code MTGMudsta or click on the link down below, you get an extra 10% off your order. That means that those holiday gifts or that upgrade to your apparel has gotten that much cheaper, so be sure to check out the link below to find the styles that suit you. Hey gang, and welcome back. That's right, your eyes haven't deceived you. Rainbow Dash is in this game. Maximus was so excited to order the deck that he wanted to play it ahead of time since it hasn't been shipped out yet, and we all agreed at the table that it was fine. And if there's a problem with Rainbow Dash, just pretend that it's Jengatha. He keeps Carador Ghost Chieftain, Manor Gate, the World Tree, Fairy Conclave, Exotic Orchard, Golgari Guildgate, and Open the Gates. Keeping to the themes of M's in this game, Mika's playing his mill deck, keeping Captain Angathrod, keeping Island, Two Swamps, Fractured Sanity, Thief of Sanity, Sir Conrad the Grim, and Consuming Aberration. Mackenzie is playing his Boros Super Friends deck with Lae'Zel and Passionate Archaeologist. He keeps Urza's Ruinous Blast, Rugged Prairie, Plains, Boros Charm, Chandra Torture Defiance, Jaya Fiery Negotiator, and Exotic Orchard. I've borrowed Mackenzie's Korvold Gleeful Glutton deck, and my opening hand has Peregrine Took, The Shire, Swamp, Invasion of Innistrad, Toxic Deluge, Cultivate, and a Forest. Mika wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a Swamp. Mackenzie plays a Rugged Prairie. I've got a Shire for the turn, and I pass to Max. Max just plays a Tap Fairy Conclave. Mika draws and plays an Island. He then plays Sky Diamond and passes. Mackenzie has a Mountain for turn and pays 2 for Passionate Archaeologist. I draw and play a Forest. I then pass to Max after that. Max plays a tapped World Tree and passes to Mika. Mika draws and plays a Swamp. He casts a Thief of Sanity, and once that's out, suspends an Ancestral Vision and passes. Mackenzie's got a Plains for turn, and then pays 3 for his commander, Lae'Zel. I draw and play a Swamp. I then cast Cultivate to find a basic for the field, and 1 for my hand. Maximus draws and casts Open the Gates. He then plays a Manor Gate, choosing white as the second color, and passes. Mika draws and goes to combat. He swings the Thief at Mackenzie, dealing 2, and takes 1 of Mackenzie's top 3 cards, and bins the rest. He then suspends a Soul Talisman, and then plays a tapped Port of Karfell, and passes turn. Mackenzie's got a Mountain, and then plays Jaya Fiery Negotiator, and uptakes her to make a Monk token. Going to combat, Mackenzie swings Lae'Zel at me, dealing 3, and passing. I draw and play a Forest. I then play a Gitrog Monster, and play Evolving Wilds as my second land for turn. I then pass after that. Max draws and plays Exotic Orchard. He plays Rainbow Dash and goes to combat. He swings Rainbow Dash at Mackenzie for 2 and becomes 20% cooler. He passes after that. During his end step, Mika cycles Fractured Insanity, milling the table for 4 and drawing a card. And I also get to draw a card since I milled the land card that the Gitrog monster saw. Mika downticks his suspend cards and draws. He goes to combat, and once more the Thief of Sanity goes at Mackenzie, dealing 2, and Mika gets to keep one of the top 3, and bins the rest. Mika then casts his commander, and passes. Mackenzie draws and plays a Plains. He downticks Jaya to exile his top 2, revealing a Palladium Mirror and Blasphemous Act. He casts the Palladium Mirror and deals 3 to Mika from the Passionate Archaeologist trigger, and then goes to combat. He swings Lae'Zel at max, dealing 3, and then passes. During his end step, I sacrifice Evolving Wilds to draw a card and then go and find a basic land. On my upkeep, I sacrifice a mountain to the Gitrog monster and then draw for my turn. I then play a swamp and a mountain as my 2 lands for turn, and then cast Peregrine Took. And then a Killer Service. This makes me 4 food tokens, and I then go to combat. I swing the Gitrog monster at Mika to deal 6, which he takes. I then pass to Max after that. Max draws and plays a Gondigate. He then plays Gingerbrute and animates the Fairy Conclave, and he goes to combat. He activates the Gingerbrute to essentially make it unblockable, and swings it and the Conclave at Jaya, and Rainbow Dash goes at me. Max becomes 60% cooler, and Jaya and I take our damage, and Max then passes. Mika takes down his suspend cards and draws. He plays an island and goes to combat. He swings the Thief of Sanity and his commander at me, and I can't block any of them because of Menace. He mills a land from his commander hitting me, so I draw a card. And as he resolves his Thief of Sanity trigger, I mill another land and draw another card. In his second main phase, Mika then casts a massive Consuming Aberration and passes. Mackenzie draws and plays Exotic Orchard. He then plays Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and upticks his Walker to exile his top card. He reveals an Impending Flux, but chooses not to cast it, so his opponents take 2. He follows up with Chandra, Fire Artisan, and then moves to combat. He swings the Monk at me for 3 because of prowess, which I take, and Mackenzie passes. I sacrifice a mountain to my upkeep, drawing from the Gitrog monster, and then for turn. I then play Luxury Suite, and sacrifice 3 food tokens to draw a card. And then cast Korvold. Going to combat, I swing Korvold at Mika for 4 commander damage. I then get to put some counters onto him and draw some cards. With nothing else, I move to discard and pass to Max. Max draws and plays a Golgari Guildgate. He then makes a deal with Mackenzie that he'll take 1 damage from the Gingerbrute, and Mackenzie accepts. Max swings and becomes 100% cool, which allows him to tap Rainbow Dash, making a white, blue, red, black, and green, and draw a card. He then casts Muldrotha. He then uses Muldrotha's ability to cast a Dax duplicate from his graveyard, and it comes in as a copy of Consuming Aberration. He passes after that. Mika casts Soul Talisman off of Suspend, milling us until we hit a land. And then casts Ancestral Vision, milling us all again. He draws 3 from it, and then for turn, and plays a Sunken Hollow. He then casts a Rousing Refrain because of the Thief of Sanity stealing it, and he makes 11 red mana off of me. He then uses it to cast Shuldred, which as it comes in has us all sacrificing a non-token creature or planeswalker. Once that's done, he flips her and destroys Muldrotha. He destroys Muldrotha, Korvold, and Mackenzie's other Chandra. He then follows up with Endless Evil and targets the Consuming Aberration. Going to combat, Mika swings the Consuming Aberration at me and the Thief at Max. I can't block thanks to Menace and die, and Mika gets a card off of Max from the Thief connecting. Moving to his end step, Mika gets to reanimate Amphim Mutineer from Max's graveyard thanks to his commander's trigger, and as it comes in, exiles Max's Consuming Aberration copy and then passes to Mackenzie. Mackenzie draws and plays a Plains. He casts Urza's Ruinous Blast to exile most of the board, and then passes after that. Max draws and plays an Orzhov Guildgate, and then casts Carador. He follows that up by casting Bloodbraid Elf from his graveyard, which cascades into a Chromatic Lantern. Going to combat, he swings Rainbow Dash at Mika for 2 and gets some coolness, and then passes after that. Mika draws and goes to combat. He swings his commander at Mackenzie, dealing 3 and milling him for 3. He then plays a Path of Ancestry in his second main phase. Moving to his end step, Mika's commander gives him a trigger to bring back Gisela from Mackenzie, and he does so, and passes. Mackenzie draws and plays a mountain. He plays Gideon Blackblade, and upticks the walker on Lae'Zel, and then passes to Max. Max plays a Basilisk Gate, and then casts Balaged Recovery, and returns to hand hold the gates, and then plays it. He follows up with Grazilax, and Mika responds by casting C Double to copy it, copying it, and Rainbow Dash. Moving to combat, Maximus swings Bloodbraid Elf, Rainbow Dash, and Carador at Mika. Mika blocks Rainbow Dash with Gisela, and Carador with Grazilax. With his commander being blocked, Max is able to bounce Rainbow Dash back to his hand thanks to Grazilax's ability, while Mika takes 2, and Maximus draws a card. With nothing else, he passes. Mika draws and plays a Watery Grave, which he has come in tapped. He goes to combat, swinging his Rainbow Dash and Gisela at Max, and his commander and copy of Grazilax at Mackenzie. Neither of them block, and they each take their hits, and then mill a bunch of cards. In his second main phase, Mika then casts a Marius Call from Mackenzie's Thief of Sanity mills, and once that's done, passes. His commander triggers, and he's able to steal a Caged Sun, choosing blue as it comes in. Mackenzie draws and uses Gideon's ultimate to exile Gisela. He then plays a mountain for turn, and passes. Maximus has a Black Dragon Gate, and then plays Marchesa the Black Rose. He then recasts Rainbow Dash from his hand, and then activates a Basilisk Gate to give Grazilax +5/+5. Moving to combat, Max swings everything at Mika, and gets a Dethrone trigger on all of them thanks to Marchesa. Mika blocks with the Rainbow Dash and Grazilax with his Angel tokens, but takes the rest. Maximus also gets to draw a card from hitting a player thanks to Grazilax, and then passes turn. Mika recasts Rousing Refrain, and gets 4 mana and draws for turn. He then uses the mana to cast Treasure Cruise, and plays a Command Tower after he draws. He follows up with a Spellskite, and gets to scry 1 because he tapped the Path of Ancestry to help cast it. He then casts Sir Conrad. Moving to combat, Mika swings his commander and Grazilax at Mackenzie, who can't block and takes 8. This has Mackenzie milling 8, which includes 4 creatures, so everyone takes 4. Moving to his end step, Mika then reanimates Plarg and Nasari from the milled cards, and passes. Mackenzie draws and plays an Arid Mesa. He then cracks it, losing 1 for a mountain. He plays Chandra, Hope's Beacon, and upticks it to exile the top 5 cards. He casts Jeska's Will from among them, and deals 3 to Mika with his background, and then casts it and copies it. This allows him to exile his top 6 and gain 10 red mana. He plays Seething Song, dealing 3 damage to Max, and then Ryan Sinclair, dealing another 3. He then plays Urabrask, Heretic Praetor, dealing 5 to Mika. After that, Mackenzie passes. Maximus exiles the Black Gate off of Urabrask, and then plays it for turn. He then cashes it in his coolness again, making white, blue, black, red, and green, and drawing a card, and this allows him to cast Unite the Coalition, and he picks the mode to draw 5 times. He then plays Nature's Will and a Loyal Apprentice. He then activates Basilisk Gate, but Mika responds by changing the target of it to Spellskite. Moving to combat, Maximus makes a Thopter from the Loyal Apprentice and swings everything at Mackenzie. Mika activates Sir Conrad twice in response and mills everyone for 2, and they hit 2 creatures, which has Sir Conrad dealing a total of 2. Mackenzie decides not to block and dies, and Max gets to untap his lands. In his post-combat main phase, Max then plays a Shaman of the Great Hunt, and activates it, drawing 4. He then casts an Ornithopter from his graveyard and has to pass. Mika draws and casts a Mindcrank, and then casts Breach the Multiverse. Everyone mills 10, and with 6 or more creatures among them, Max is dead to the Sir Conrad triggers, and Mika wins the game. Game review time. This game was 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 15 seconds. I think a lot of it was due to the milling. Mika certainly took it to heart for his deck, and even without the Breach, which only really hit Maximus, we went pretty deep into our decks for most turns. It felt like Mackenzie was unfortunately losing a lot of valuable cards to either the Thief of Sanity or the Mill, and once more his Boros Super Friends deck stumbled. I enjoyed playing Korvold. I thought the commander was kinda cool, but having to work so very hard to reduce the cost of my commander to make it more affordable was just brutal. I needed to have several outlets, which I just didn't have outside of Peregrine Took, allowing me to sacrifice food tokens, and I can see why people prefer the earlier one. Rainbow Dash was okay. I think Maximus got to draw like 2 cards off of it, which is not incredibly powerful. I know that Jingatha could have been used as a replacement, but they work in a little bit different fashion. But I'm not here to yuck someone's yum, and Maximus really wanted to play a coolness-based deck. I think a lot of it derived from the fact that he had a good idea for how he wanted to make the tokens to represent it, and he just ran with it from there. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.